For our June board meeting. At this time, I want to call the meeting to order and I ask Ms. Tibbetts to do a silent roll call. I would ask that you would stand and join me as Russ Sukan leads us in the prayer and Katie Rogers will be leading the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father in heaven, we bow our heads in prayer.
Oops. Thank you. Our first action item tonight is agenda approval, and we do confess that at our executive meeting, executive session, we never got through everything. So we feel like we need to go back into that, and so we're looking at amending tonight's agenda. Is there a? Yes, we're going to amend the agenda to go to executive session afterwards so that we can finish our discussion that never got finished. Excuse me? Yes. Yeah.
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we amend the agenda to go into executive session after our open session and then return to open session after that point.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Sukan. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Claridge. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Since discussion that we had not finished was on personnel, the part that we would be voting on for consent agenda or agreeing upon is A, B, C, and D, minutes of previous, payment of bills, etc., disposition of district property, and the travel requests. And so, does anyone have any comments or questions regarding any of those? Okay, then hearing none, then the consent agenda minus E is accepted by unanimous consent. Okay, we have a couple patron comments tonight. I'll put somewhere. And we have Courtney Wayment here, wants to talk about the attendance policy at Minico, and so does Betty Stevenson. Normally, if you're talking about the same thing and don't have anything different to add, we would request that one of you speak. And so, which one of you wants to address the board? I could pick a number between 1 and 5. Is that what you want? Yeah, that's fine. Come on up.
I don't actually know what I was going to say. I got a text from a friend.
And you need to state your name. Yeah, as you start, please state your name and for the record, and then go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Betty Stevenson. I'm a parent of students at East Minico and Minico High School.
Thank you.
Yeah, gotcha. I just got a text from somebody who was concerned about taking the attendance policy of Minico, and I wish that maybe this discussion, or I was able to talk to you guys after, because I don't know a whole lot. I got notification that maybe we were moving from a 90% to a 95%, or seeking to do so today. Since I don't think I'll be able to speak later, I guess I'll just give you a few pieces of my mind now. But I have a few questions pertaining that. I do know that teachers get 4 personnel days and 9 sick days. That equates to like 13 a year, which is definitely more than 90% attendance, right? are definitely about 90% attendance instead of the 95% attendance. It's definitely less restrictive than if we were to move to a 95% attendance and require these kids to only have 4 days of absences per semester. I also was, I know that everything comes down to money, and from what I'm hearing, that we're moving from enrollment to attendance and whatever all of that entails. I don't have a whole lot of education and knowledge on this. I wish I had a little bit more, but I'm wondering what the difference in the funding is that our school district's going to receive between 90 and 95%, and if it's worth restricting the good students and families and parents of these kids trying to meet that higher criteria. I know that our school district has been at that before. I know that right now we're like at 90%, right? But we've struggled keeping our students that have 80% attendance, or I don't know. Again, I'm assuming all these details are going to come out through the meeting. So why do we think that's going to change if what I don't want to do is restrict good students like my own that honestly go over our attendance policy, but we end up with sports excuses and doctor's excuses, and we do what we can to play the game to make sure that we are getting the credit that we need for our kids. But it's a struggle to do that at 7 absences. My kids are super active and super awesome. And I don't know if you guys have access to Power School. You can look and see that my kids have a lot of absences and they both have 4.0s. They're great kids. They're doing all these awesome things. And I don't want to have to shove them in the same box, the same restrictive box that we're trying to shove kids that are causing the trouble and maybe down at that 80% attendance. Anyway, I just don't think it's going to help. So that, I feel like I'm rambling because I was not prepared to do this. Yeah, I don't know. It just coming from a really active family in our community and kids, they're trying to do awesome things. We're traveling all the time and trying to get coaching in different places that are outside of our small town, and the absences that my kids are accruing is because they're doing awesome things, not because they're sleeping in. I do realize that we struggle with that, and maybe we have kids that we're struggling with sleeping in, not coming, their parents are not on top of things. So I don't know. We got to find a way to punish those kids and not my kid by restricting absences to 4 instead of 7, because it's already a huge burden on my family to try to meet the 7. And we do prioritize education. My husband and I both have college educations. We prioritize that in our lives, but there is a lot more ways to get an education than butt and seat time for funding. So that's about all I have. I'm sure I'll have more later. I don't know. So. Right here.
Okay, that is going to be something that is in our business. Yeah, actually, we'll discuss it and then we'll probably vote on it tonight. So there will be more discussion later. So, so Miss Wayment, did you have anything that was different?
Okay, my name is Courtney Wayment. I just wanted to talk really quick too about the attendance policy at Minico. Maybe, I don't know. There is in the attendance policy, if your child is 10 minutes tardy, is it 10? Or is it 15? They're marked absent for the whole class period. So we've had instances where my kids have had appointments. They've been a few minutes late for the next class and they're still marked absent for that whole class. And it causes significant problems for them attendance wise. Also, from a provider standpoint, my husband has a dentist office in our town, and we are required now, because we had some problem with doctor's notes, to fax over excuses, or parents have to take them in. And my concern is, okay, we have to play this game for 4 absences. How is that going to be a burden on our staff in our office? Because all of a sudden it becomes urgent that you have a note. I had to take several in towards the end of this semester. The other thing that we had talked about too is that, and maybe you'll talk about this later, the funding comes from the first part of the school year, maybe the first 10 weeks. And so I just wish that we could maybe think outside the box and not have such a blanket policy for absences for this semester and 4 for this semester. If the funding comes from a short time, maybe we can have an attendance policy for that time and encourage parents and let them know. If parents know that that's how the school is being funded, I feel like we always do things so we don't know, as parents, we're not educated. And I feel like that is the hardest part, is that if we could get the word out to parents, we might be able to get kids in seats, especially for the time that we need the funding. We need them there, right? So those were just the few things that I thought of that were different than Betty, that were concerning to me. I have great kids. All of them have 4.0s. All of them are gone every bit of the minutes that they can be at school. I mean, they just are, because they are involved in so many great things. And so I'm like, it is a punishment for kids that are good. And I don't know that a 4-day policy is going to make those kids that are at 20 absences really want to be in school any more than a 7-day policy is. It's going to make families like us have to jump through the hoops and get doctor's notes and all the things, and go to the chiropractor on our way out of town so we can have a doctor's note excuse, even though we're just going to be gone for something else. So that's all.
I just lay it down. All right. Thank you for taking the time to express your opinion. I will let you know that that is one of the things that as a district we have talked about, is how do we get word out to people? That's still an issue. And in this day and age of, not everybody takes the newspaper, so we know that's not going to do it. Not everybody's on Facebook or Instagram, so that's not always going to do it. I refuse to go on TikTok, so that's not going to do it. And so ideas on how to get word out would be really appreciated. So, but we will let the administrators who propose that speak when we get to that part for discussion. Anybody else have any other thoughts? We will be getting to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please hold off and discuss it.
Yeah, we will. Okay. The first thing for discussion then tonight is the activity stipend increase. That is something that Mr. Trinkle has submitted to us, and looking at, even though we did this just a few years ago, it sounds like we probably need to consider it again. And anybody have any questions on what they saw regarding the stipends? Do you have anything, Mr. Trinkle, that you would like to?
No, just if you guys have any questions about it.
Okay.
Mrs. Hines, one thing that I actually really liked about it as I was reading through it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Trinkle, but it is encouraging, and there's an additional benefit of getting coaches that are also educators, because their stipend will be based in a portion off of a percentage rather than just the total dollar amount. And I think in my time of living in this community, we have struggled sometimes getting educators to take that additional time to coach. And I think that will help encourage that. I like that idea of having more educators involved in our coaching.
I agree.
Well, I think part of it's to remember that's, if you go back to, I think about when I was in high school, there wasn't one coach I didn't have that wasn't at the high school teaching. And that's kind of like some people actually, believe it or not, did get into teaching. They wanted to be coaches. And I think it's kind of like not
Was
basically the loyalty or years, was that an add too, or has that always
No,
been in effect?
that was already policy.
Okay.
That was already, I think
Changes in attendance is next. So we've gotten a couple of opinions, and I appreciate those ladies being willing to speak to us. I do know that even as this was presented in our uh, agenda review last week, Mr. Sukan has some strong opinions as well. I'm going to let him speak to it.
That's super strong. Makes me sound terrible.
Just to put you on the spot.
I just on a personal level, I can echo some of the same sentiments that were brought up. It's when you have active kids, it's a struggle sometimes, and my family, being on the farm, we I wish we could, but we can't take summer vacations. We travel in the winter, and that's when we get to try to get away. And I don't know if it would be opening Pandora's box if you tried to make some sort of. I totally understand why you guys want to do it. I mean, is there a way we can tie it to grades? Because that's the big thing I hear all the time is my kids have A's and B's, you know.
Hey, first of all, this is not a request to change. This was we wanted to have an open discussion. This was never a request to change it. It was we were at our last admin meeting. Dr. Parker and the admin team were trying to think of, okay, what are we going to do switching to ADA? Because we have to make cuts. We will be losing teachers next year and staff. That's the bottom line. We are going to lose people, and we knew that. We knew that because we were funded with COVID money. Okay. And so when we started thinking at the high school, this was just a let's take this for consideration. This is not a request to have it changed. This is literally what can we do? This is a consideration that we brought to the board. That's all it is. So it's not a we need this voted on tonight. We want this in place. That's not what it is at all. And it was never intended to be that way. It was intended to be a discussion. And when I text and emailed Carrie, that's what I asked. Can we please be on the board for the discussion? So I just need to make that clear, and then I'll let Terry explain what he's been working on. Okay.
Is that all right if I speak? Okay. So, as we reviewed this, there's a lot of things that come into factor. First of all, we go to school 146 days out of the year. That means we're out of school 210, 209 days. We're home 209 days. We have done a lot of things at the high school. I haven't always been there for all of those, but it seems like when we just came in that they dropped the C core and dropped it to a D average. I mean, if you can pass a class with a D minus, and so when we think about attendance, we thought, okay, so there's 4 days, and I had heard from even a staff member that, well, teachers get off, you get 9 sick days, which we all usually donate one to the sick bank, and then we get 4 personal days. And I don't think we're comparing apples to oranges personally. with that because parents have responsibility. You have children to get sick, you got to go home, and the students don't have those responsibilities. So 8 days out of a year, I don't know. I think we can do it. We had over 700, I think 714 kids first semester that would have made it last year. First semester that would have qualified for just having 4 absences only, or 4 or less. When we hit 8, it's really an interesting thing. So we had 7 as the limit, and all except for 100 of those kids went over that 7. So we had in the second semester we had 400 kids eligible that would have made 4 days, but in the second semester only 100 kids went over, a little over 100 kids went over the 7-day limit. Only 100 of them, and then you go to the 8th, and that drops that down to another 30 less kids, and then after that, there's only just probably a couple dozen kids that go over, way over, and they will if we say you can have 12 days, or they'll take it. I mean, that's the crazy thing. So, and I did a little bit of math, and so 5 minutes in one class period, let's just say cell phones, for example. We say, well, okay, you're going to get the last 5 minutes of class to play on your cell phone. But in the shortened days, the shortened schedule that we have, 5 minutes is in every class period, every day, would equate to 6 absences in a school year. All right, 12 in a year, 6 in a semester. So when we start talking about our education, so here's my take on it all. I've never been able to afford a vacation for one. I've worked in the summers, and this is not a pity party for Terry Merrill. It's just the reality. But if we say we value education, then we should do that. And I know when I listen to Ms. Stevenson, I know that there's a lot more about education. But the doctor's appointments don't count against your absences. The activities, the school activities, don't count against your against your absences. But we do have to make sacrifices to. If I'm a teacher and I've prepared lessons, I want my kids to be there. And if we say it's important, then I think we should be there. So when we talk about 95%, I don't think it's outrageous personally, but I do understand that there's people who want to go on vacation, but we have a opportunity for extenuating circumstances. People can come to us and say, hey, we already scheduled this Christmas vacation or this Thanksgiving vacation or going to Disneyland in March or April. Is that a good time to go? I don't know, but those are the things that are concerning, that we can deal with a lot of issues. We don't want to go over the 90%, and we'll probably have some flexibility, but we really want to try to do this 95%. It's gonna. I can't remember the number they told us in the last meeting, but raising it by 2% was like an incredible increase in just the funding by increasing your attendance by 2 or 3%. And so we want to run with that. I don't know if the district wants to run with it as a district-wide, but I think as high school kids, I think it's part of the responsibility. Learning, this is the most important job right now in your life, and it's the most important thing you're going to do up to this point in your life. And if you're involved in a lot of activities, you don't get to go on a lot of vacations. That's how it is. It's just when I'm on the basketball team, I don't get on vacation. I'm a multi-sport kid. I don't get to go on vacation because there's commitments, and I think our education we should mostly be committed to that more than anything else. But anyway, those are our thoughts. It's just a proposal. It's not something that's life or death for us. But we just thought, hey, let's try to get more out of our kids. We're going to do a cell phone policy that's, it's non-negotiable, trying to get kids off their phones because we think, when they walk into the classroom, it's go time. And so we're trying to take it serious and trying to stress that being at school is important. And if it's not, then we can go a different route. But anyway, we thought that's good. Any questions?
I do have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
So my first one actually is for Taylor. Taylor, do we know what the what the difference would be from 90% to 95% dollar wise. What would we be talking about? Okay. I think that'd be important to this decision, just to make sure that we had some real working knowledge of what dollars we're talking about. And then my other question, and I get what you're talking about with uh, comparing apples and oranges. That sometimes teachers have kids at home that get sick, but sometimes there are students that have siblings that get sick and are required to take care of that or whatever it may be. And so I think I'm glad this is a discussion, not a decision. I don't know that I have the information that I would feel necessary in order to make a decision. I would like to hear more feedback, um, perhaps even a survey that could go out to parents or something, just to kind of get more information on where our constituents stand on it. I understand putting education first, um, and we definitely want to do that. But I thought a good point that was made, uh, and I think it was by Mrs. Wayment that said, if you change it from 4 days to 7 days, the kids that are missing 20 days, it's not going to make a difference for. And so I think that's true. I know that's true. In fact, I think if we tighten it up, um, it'll affect the kids that are already probably working pretty hard already more than it will affect the kids that um, aren't getting support from home, where schooling is not as important to their families. And so I think we need to have a better discussion about it.
Madam Chair, they also have that alternative grading policy that was created for extenuating circumstances to help with the vacations.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the people that are absent a lot for medical reasons, mostly, that's the big one. The kids, there's just not kids that miss school just to be skipping. They really don't. They all are very aware of that 7-day limit, and they can't. They come to me the day before seniors skip. How's it looking, Mr. Merrill? Can I go? And it's like, okay, yeah, I guess you can. Just don't be sick the rest of the semester. You can't miss a single day. Don't miss graduation practice. So we have an extenuating circumstances. It worked really well because there's kids going to go to Mexico, but not as many this year because I've already told them with the shorter Christmas break, you can't go for very long. And but those kids come to me in December with 0 absences. They have 0 because they know they're going to miss 4 or 6 days, whatever it's going to be at the end of the semester. And so those are just things that I think we got to pay attention to. I had a kid who's very good family. He missed 6 days, 5, 6 days this semester. Then he comes to me a week before he goes on vacation. Says, "Hey, my parents scheduled Disneyland. What do we do?" I go, "Well, you shouldn't have missed those 5 or 6 days, knowing that, because everyone else does. The kids that go to Mexico all do. They don't miss a single day. So those are just things that I think we have to consider. And people will do it if they think that education is important. They'll do it. They'll sacrifice to be to school because they want that diploma. They don't want to have to take summer school, which all those things are in place. Credit recoveries for if they go over that, that's just part of the business. And so it's not anything. There's no secrets to getting your credits made up, but it is there's people who want their cake and eat it too sometimes, and it's really a hard pill to swallow sometimes as an educator. So it just doesn't seem right.
What about, have you talked about it all? Trying to tie it to grades somehow? Or, I mean,
No, that's good. Honestly, most kids don't even fail if they miss 10 or 12 classes. I mean, they because they do their work. We have a lot of stuff online, but I think there's also some where we've lost a lot of things that are sacred to us, like coming to school and being respectful, and the things that we've thrown our hats down just to say, or threw our cards in, say, "No, forget it. You guys just do whatever you want." That's one of the things I hope we don't ever do, is say that other things are important, yeah, but we try to do the best we can at school first. That's your most important job.
I got a question. I mean, what's the concern of potential health issues from kids that don't want to
They have to
miss
come.
their
They have to
days,
come and
but
see us when they know they're in trouble. When they come and see us, and we make a plan for them. And sometimes it's got to be a 504, and because of the illnesses that they have. I mean, I don't want to deal with irritable bowel syndrome, for the rest of my life either. But there's
yeah, and
kids
I'm
that
not
miss
talking
those
like
things.
chronic or anything like
Yeah.
that. I'm talking like they have the flu and they come to school because they're afraid to miss a day. Like, is that concerns that they start spreading germs around that creates other problems for other students? I'm just asking. I'm not saying that's
yeah,
a
those
major
are,
problem.
I
You
guess
guys
those are
would know
something to
better.
consider. I don't know that how often that happens.
Okay.
I mean, if you're that sick for 4 days or 5 days, you know, you better be going to the doctor and then bring us a note, and then we understand. And we say, hey, okay, we got you. Come to school and don't miss, don't skip. You know, those kids that are skipping and still want to go do things. But, you know, there's no kid that comes to school wanting to flunk. There isn't. So they'll do whatever they can. I believe, especially if they have that expectation to be there.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I've
Thank
just
you for
heard,
considering it. We don't really need to vote it on yet, but it's up to you guys. I just put it in the handbook because if it works, it's great. If it doesn't, I take away the word 95 and put 90. So, and but we thought it was a good idea.
okay.
I would be interested in just knowing what the board's thoughts would be about having a survey go out. Is that appropriate? Do we think that that would help us in coming to a decision at some point in time, or I don't know, thoughts?
Some of my thoughts are if we do one school, we have to do all of them. And I know that attendance is a real problem at Mount Harrison. There are a lot of kids that think they miss Monday because they only have to go Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or they miss Thursday because there's a lot of that going on. And I don't know how to really solve these problems. The other thing I have heard is people don't take their kids to get to the doctor because they can't afford it, so they can't get doctor's notes. And that's another complaint I've heard. So I know we're kind of in a no-win situation in some ways because of it. But I do know that first 10 weeks of school, and if I'm correct, it's
It is.
starting after Labor Day.
Is that right?
I think it
Is it
starts
after
after
Labor
Labor
Day?
Day.
Is it the first 10 weeks after Labor Day?
I thought it started right after Labor Day and then goes into the first couple weeks of November. Yeah. So anyway, those are the really important time to have the kids there. If we're gonna, I mean, since it's gonna be ADA, we don't have a choice unless you want to start writing to your legislators. But, and I don't know if we did grades, you have to have a 3.5 or something. I don't know. I just don't know what people would think about that.
I don't know.
We've thrown it out.
Well, if we go by grades, though, you still got to have that attendance in the seat to
Mm-hmm.
get the difference, and that would be what we would like to know is that difference between
Well,
90 and 95%.
I just know that's always and I'm sure that's what you guys hear too. You get, I mean, parents say, well, why does it matter? My kid's got A's and B's anyway. I don't know. Just a thought. But I do also think that whatever percentage that we decide to come up with, it seems like it'd be a lot easier if it was consistent across the district so that there's not confusion between, the junior high can have this many, the high school can have this many. It seems like if we had a flat number we could go with and tell people, it would be maybe a little easier to keep track of for parents.
I mean, I'd like to see the survey. I think that's a good thing. I mean, I'd also like to commend the high school for trying to raise the bar. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm wholeheartedly behind the theory of it and saying yes, let's raise the bar because that's what we do. We're talking about these 10 weeks. Oh, let's try and get numbers for 10 weeks. No, let's get numbers all year round. Realistically, that's what we want, not just the 10 weeks. I know that's where our funding comes from, but at the end of the day, we want these kids in school while I'm learning.
That's right.
So could we get a survey sent out? Who would like to write one? That's my first question. Who wants to write the survey? You have a Survey Monkey account, Dr. Parker?
I do.
Oh.
Well, I think it would be fair though that we need to include the information that this does affect your school's funding,
Mhm.
and try to give as much of the equation as we can. in the
Just like they
survey.
said, information, get it communicated.
And I think that like the realistic amount of money that we'll lose and how it will affect,
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
this upcoming year, because like we haven't even started school for next year and I'm already worried about it.
Isn't each FTE about $110,000? Am I wrong or am I too high? Excuse me?
Is 200,000.
Something like that.
That's a lot.
Every percent is 100,000 a year.
And I know that right now we're budgeting for 212 FTE for next year, which is not near as many teachers as we have.
I would like to see a survey go out after we have all of the information put together, what we would lose between the 90 and 95%.
Okay, so who would you like to task with that?
Well, Ashley, I was just kind of mouthing to Ashley because she said that on the new website there is a little survey there. I said, would you like to try that new survey portion out? She
But
said
then we
she
have to get the word out that it's number one on the website. Is the app going live then as well? Is the beta done?
Yeah, it's technically available right now, but yeah.
Okay,
But the website will go on Thursday.
okay.
So I think
It's just a
what we need to
thought.
have is Taylor get us numbers on what that percentage is between 90 and 95%. What dollar amount does that represent? And then get that information to Mrs. Johnson and ask her to create some kind of survey around pros and cons, or what would people generally prefer.
And yeah, let them know that what that difference is going to make.
And this affects the elementary as well, definitely. I mean, it's across the board, so we really need to get it to everybody.
On our survey, if we could, when we build it.
I'm sorry, could you give me your name, please?
Sorry, Daryl.
Oh, thank you.
That when we do the survey, if we could use a formula of like 1 to 5, agree, disagree, something along those lines, so it gives people that in between option. I've noticed with a few of our surveys, it's A, B, or C, and you're kind of off in far F.
That's a good idea.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great idea. Thank you. Any other comments on it? Okay. We will look into this. We'll get going and get a survey out. Did anyone have any comments or questions on the administrator department and committee reports?
No.
So, Mr. Van Avery, do you have any more news on when the concession stand, locker rooms, etc.? I mean, I know you said it at facilities committee meeting, but has anything changed in a week?
I can just speak to it.
Sure.
It's on? Yeah. So basically, we had engineer in after our meeting we had the other day. Pretty much approved everything. They are doing the plumbing inspection tomorrow so that we can get the final inspection from the county. And that'll all be complete. And then we're going to move those lockers from the high school into the building and then do the dirt work out there. Yeah. And then we'll be done. So, yeah. Any questions about it? Well, final inspection should be by next week, and then we just plan on getting the dirt put in there and the trees that have been donated planted within the next 4 or 5 weeks. It's a summer project. It's on our summer project list to finish. So, anything else? Appreciate your patience with it. We had quite a few issues that we ran into there, but we got them resolved. So,
Just a couple of road bumps.
yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Van Avery.
Thank you. Okay, anybody have any questions for on the superintendent report? He's kept himself busy, so. Anything else? And we don't have any policies to actually discuss this month, so that gets us down to the approval of the activity stipend increase under our action items. Any further discussion on that? Everybody got their questions answered? Is anyone willing to make a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the 9A approval of activity stipend increase as presented to the board.
Okay.
I'd second it.
Motion by Mr. Perez, seconded by Mr. Claridge. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor? Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
just hope it encourages you to, or get some people to fill your positions. And
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We also had the payroll dates given before us, so that we need to approve those. HR will be very happy with those, I think. Did anybody have any comments or questions? This is more a formality than anything, but we do have to approve them. So, hearing none, I would entertain a motion for approval of the 23-24 payroll dates.
Madam Chair, I make the motion we approve the 23-24 payroll dates.
Okay, motion by Mr. Sukan. Second by Ms. Sanderson. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thoughts on the approval of the provision to breakfast for students? If there are no comments or questions, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Sukan to approve the provision to breakfast for students. Second by Mr. Perez. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And the school supply lists. Again, another formality that we have to go through every year.
I didn't see Rupert's on there. No. That will come later.
We're meeting next week, yeah.
Okay.
So will we have to approve it at the July board meeting then separate?
I'm sorry, what? My nose is plugged, I can't hear. It's on my nose.
Rupert doesn't have theirs in yet, so will we have to have an item on the agenda again for next month for that? Or can this one just approve it?
Are there
No,
any
we need to
changes
see it.
attached to
Yeah.
Are there
see
any
it.
changes?
I know that's where I know, not likely, but I'm meeting with the team to go through, I think, that decision.
Okay, so we will put it on as an agenda item.
We're trying to change our minds here, we may need to do a few things, but not positive.
Okay, so we will have it as an agenda item for next time. Any other comments or questions regarding the school lists, supply lists? Then I would entertain a motion for approval of the school supply list.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ms. Sanderson,
Second.
second by Mr. Claridge. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And the student handbooks.
There will be others added next month also.
Okay, so next month we'll have some more that we're not on there yet.
Madam Chair, so correct me if I'm wrong, currently the Minico handbook does say 95% as we're reading it now. Right. So I would recommend that we approve the student handbooks with the exception of Minico's student handbook. We hold off for further discussion.
I would question that though. If we just said that we're going to do one, we do it consistently across all
That's
of
true.
them.
Yes.
That's true.
I don't think we should
I
approve
think
any
we
of
should
them
hold it.
until that's settled.
Okay, that's
I
a
would
good
like
point.
to hold this.
Okay,
till
then
next
we will
time, please.
we will table the approval of student handbooks until next time,
Okay.
if that is the board's wish. District staff handbook for 23-24, approval of that one. Anyone have any comments or questions regarding the district's staff handbook? Everybody's studiously looking at their computers. Does that mean you didn't get it read?
I would be lying if I said I got through all 16 pages.
Nothing much had changed on that, just a few updates on policies that we had updated.
It's just policy update, because I got to about very last page.
Yeah, there was just a few policies that I changed the wording with to match the policy that we changed.
Okay.
That's about it.
So minimal changes,
Yes.
mostly policies. Does anyone want to make a motion for approval of it, or do you want it tabled?
I'd rather have it too. Madam Chair, I'd rather have it tabled.
You'd rather have it tabled?
I would. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm sorry.
All right, we're tabling it. We'll see it again next month. How about the coaching handbook?
There are no changes from last
Yeah,
week.
that was bad. I saw that.
Okay. So with that, does anybody want to make a motion that we approve the coaching handbook?
I will make a motion to approve the coaching handbook.
Okay, motion from Mr. Sukan,
Second.
second by Mr. Perez. Any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
You need to ask Katie about the fee.
Yeah, I thought we had discussed holding off on this.
Published, but it doesn't have a date when it was published. So I don't know. So it's up to Katie.
The legal ads at Times News, and I haven't heard back since 8 o'clock. So
Okay.
don't know what the date.
So on the fees and fundraisers, then you want us to withhold the fees for school lunches.
I think tabling it till
You'd
Till
rather
July?
table the
I
whole
would.
thing?
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that works.
Gosh, I'm gonna have a whole agenda.
Yeah, you make the most of agenda for.
Yeah, because the parking fees would have gone with that too. For
Yeah,
me.
the parking fees are on there as well.
If it's not published, that would have to be published in another hearing too.
Okay. Another hearing?
Fees and all fees, change in fees have to be published 2 weeks in the paper. So if you want the parking to be changed for Minico, that would have to be published with that one.
Okay.
Yes.
Posted for 2 weeks.
They have to be posted for 2 weeks in the
And then
paper.
the hearing, yes.
Okay. So do you want me to check on that? If that one has not been posted for 2 weeks, do you want us to add the
It'd be
parking?
on the 17th, yes.
Okay.
So it needs to be posted by the 3rd.
So if that one was already posted, however, if she gets confirmation on that, do you want to do another budget hearing for fees with parking?
We could do provisional approval depending on what she finds out.
It's up to you guys, just so I know what to put on the
I
agenda.
don't know that we need a whole other budget meeting.
Yeah.
Provisional, yeah, I think that would be fine.
So do you want me to put it with, just post that if there be a fee increase or however it has to be worded? What do you want me to do?
I think we're just adding. I believe we're just adding another fee because the senior parking is going to stay the same. The general parking will stay $10. They're going to add another level, which would be the $20 for preferred parking.
So are you considering that a fundraiser then or a fee?
Well, I think the senior is the only portion that's the fundraiser. I think the other is actually a fee. I think it's just the $50 senior that's the fundraising portion.
Could we get Miss Kidd or somebody to the high school to kind of talk about that so we know?
The fee's set. If you
fee
want to
is
do a
set.
fundraiser, you guys can approve fundraisers. Yes,
We can
anytime.
approve the fundraiser. It's the
So then that $20, are we calling that a fundraiser then?
Right, because Terry, right now, you have a fee for parking, correct?
Yeah.
And you want to,
We have a $10 fee just for everything that's not senior parking, which is like $415.
and so you want to add this additional, like, fundraiser to raise money.
Or is it a fee?
I know.
Raise money, it's just to maintain our parking, I guess.
It's a fundraising to maintain parking.
Okay, fundraisers in
That's
here.
fudging it.
Okay, Okay, so a fundraiser can go to you guys anytime during the year.
Yes.
It's a fee increase
Fee.
that's different.
Right.
Our legal counsel kind of squished his face.
It's been called a fee
Forever.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, it has
Ever
been.
since
It's
we
a
first
fee.
approved it.
Seriously, it's just a privilege to park in our process.
Really?
Because otherwise we'll provide them with a bus. They can get a bus. And if you've been to Minico High School, parking is
Nobody rides the bus.
It is safer.
It'd be a fee.
we think we have to be fine.
So a fee, it would be an increase in fees, right?
That's what we would call it.
Okay. Increase the fees.
We'll get that in the paper somehow, Terry. Okay? You bet.
Okay. So,
If you wanted to be a fundraiser,
No, it's a fee. It's a fee.
yeah, it's a fee. I know it was a fee that I had to pay when I parked in college parking lots. So it's the same thing. It's just a fee. Okay, so we're tabling it though. Yep.
And I will type it up.
Thank you.
Okay. And then the approval of the revised budget is the conclusion of the 22-23 budget that was presented to us tonight, updating all the numbers as of tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Does anyone have any other comments or questions regarding what we saw earlier? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion for approval of the 22-23 budget. Revised budget, yes, revised budget.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the revised 2023-24 budget. Nope,
22-23.
22-23 revised budget.
Okay, motion by Mr. Perez,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Sukan. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The proposed 23-24, I believe we're going to table that for now, if I had understood correctly.
The proposed budget for this, we have to have that into the state sometime.
I think you can go
By
ahead
the
and approve
1st of July.
So we have another budget.
Were we waiting on something? Maybe I missed that. I thought we were.
I didn't think we were done with the discussion on the salaries and stuff.
Okay.
Oh,
We'll have a discussion, or we
That
can vote tonight.
What you all remember?
oh, so you want that put on, oh gosh, the 27th, then you want that, okay.
Yeah. Does that give us enough time?
Yeah, we had already, just in case, we had scheduled the 27th meeting. So we are going to table that one for right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so do you still want to discuss that on the 27th or just approve it? Both? Okay, got it. Okay, got it.
Okay, we are down to new amended and deleted policies. As alluded to by Ms. Rogers, then there's some stuff that has been changed on some of these, combining and making them probably a little bit more concise than they had been before, from what I see anyway. So we could technically, the only one that personnel files is first reading, small.
That only was added so that human resources can access the files because human resources was not added.
Yeah, it's just
yeah.
that first page.
It was just one small change.
Yes, yes.
And with that one small change, I don't see a reason that we couldn't pass it at this time, because I think personnel files are under HR. I think that needs to be there.
Yeah, I think it's just the first page.
So the evaluation of certificated employees, there's been no comments on that one at all, have there? So if it is our will, we can go ahead and approve that one tonight. And the rest of them, it's just the compilation of the health and wellness, nutrition, school nutrition, and meal train charges. So,
Madam Chair, I would like to add that the meal charges was changed. This is a new policy. It's not from the old policy.
Meal charges on?
The meal charge policy is.
Did I not?
I would like you guys to genuinely look at that one. The other ones have been compiled together.
okay. So, would you like us to hold it over for another reading on that one?
On meals charges?
I thought it was
Meal
just.
Because I thought it said it was adopted in February of 05 at the bottom.
Sorry, not a new policy. I made a lot.
Okay.
On number 6, on that number 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
So, does anyone have any comments or questions on the first 5 that you can think of at the moment? Okay, then I would entertain a motion for approval of policy 542.20 personnel files, policy 660.00 evaluation of certificated employees, policy 832.00 health and wellness, policy 834.00 nutrition, and policy 840.00 school nutrition programs. Is anyone willing to make that motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Sukan for approval of these policies. Second by Mrs. Anderson. Any other questions or comments come up? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We have those policies. We will hold number 844.00 meal charges for one more reading. And after that, we just need to have deletion. We have to delete these policies, and that has to go in the record as well. So I would entertain a motion for deletion of policy 830.00, 830.20, the first one is wellness program, 830.20 district nutrition health and wellness committee, 834.20 nutrition standards, 842.00 school meals, and 846.00 food and beverage sales.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Claridge for deletion of those policies as read.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sukan. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, Madam Chair, just one question. Would it benefit us to put in there that they're being deleted because they've been replaced by new updated policies, or just to delete them? I don't know what the right action would be there.
We could ask you, our person who made the motion, if you would like to add that wording to your motion, that we approve these policies for deletion because they're being combined with other policies.
Yeah, I can amend that.
Okay.
Because they are what?
They are
Being
combined in
updated?
other policies. Being updated.
Yeah. Sorry.
I know this is a little echoey.
It is. Okay.
So anyway, so with that change, Mr. Claridge, then with that motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
I mean, you seconded it. I'm sorry.
Second.
And you're
Yeah,
okay
that's
with the addition?
Let's do it.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions pop up? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. They will be deleted. And that leaves us to adjournment for this part of our meeting.
Do we need to, we ever just suspend?
So we need to
Recess.
right?
Can we declare a recess?
Make a motion to go to executive session.
Okay, so we'll make another motion to go to executive session, back to executive session for whatever it is.
Legal.
7420618 personnel and F legal counsel. Okay, so
I'll make that motion.
motion by
Second.
Mr. Claridge, second by Mr. Sukan. Roll call vote.
Sorry, Jake,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Bonnie,
Yes.
Mary, yes, one.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all for your attendance tonight, and we'll see you in another.
We'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back at some
In
point.
theory, we're
If
not
you wanna
adjourning,
hang
so
out, you
anybody's
can.
welcome
If
to
you
hang
don't
out.
want to,
Yep.
that's okay.